This episode was sponsored by City Publications. With City Publications' Home Show in a Box, you can brand your business exclusively to high-income triangle families without settling for low-margin shoppers, door knocking, or chasing leftover leads. To learn more about targeted direct mail and digital geofencing, call City Publications at 919-629-9193 or visit citypubrdu.com. Hey y'all, and welcome to Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with the people who took the plunge into owning a small business and all the ups and downs that come with it. I'm your host, Dusta, and today we are joined with Nichole and Charley Crowe with the Home Inspector team. Welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having us. We're super excited.
Thanks, glad to be here.
I'm really glad you guys decided to join me on a bright and early Sunday morning. I know that was tough for me to roll out of bed, I'm going to be honest.
Luckily, we didn't do anything too bad last night, so we're ready.
You're planning for your Halloween decoration shopping, right?
Oh, so much.
It's
so
happening.
The summerween trend this year that's happening has made me so happy. Like, I'm so glad that Halloween finally gets their exposure like it should be. So excited about that.
I'm not even going to lie. The second that I saw that somebody had posted about Michael's having Halloween decorations, I ran. I was like,
Yes.
Get out of my way.
It's the best.
It's so great. So I would like to start with having you guys tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, and how you ended up here in the Triangle.
I will let Charlie go first because I feel like his story is a little bit more interesting than mine.
All right. Well, I was born in Illinois and lived in the Midwest for a good portion of my beginning years until I was about 18. Then my dad moved to West Virginia. And then I moved to Washington, D.C. when I became a young man, stayed there for about 10 years, and then moved down here actually we didn't move here. We came down here to visit some friends and ended up going back home and selling the house and moving down here. And then, so we've been here since 2002, 2001. That's pretty much that.
And then my story is kind of boring and straightforward. I am actually from Raleigh. I've lived in the area pretty much my whole life. I did branch out for a little bit, and I lived in Durham. I lived in Rolesville. I lived in Garner, but it's haven't branched out too far. When I was a younger girl, I almost moved to Cortland, New York. I don't know why. I thought in my head Cortland, New York is where I wanted to be. I had dreams of rolling down a hill, and I don't know why I thought it was there, but literally the day before I was to move, I woke up and was like, Nick, you don't like cold weather. What are you doing? So I've been in Raleigh area, and this is where I am and where I'm from.
I feel that. I'm from Florida, so I was like, I don't want to sweat anymore. So I moved here on a whim, a literal whim. Came here, visited 2 weeks later, was back. Was like, this is home, staying. Never left.
So how have you been doing with the 105-degree weather? Are you questioning the choice?
1,000%. And I'll tell you why, because the humidity is also the same as in Florida. And I'm like, okay, didn't I move here to get away from this? And it was following me. I feel like it's a cloud. Just hey, girl, don't forget where your roots are.
So what you're saying is that the record heat temperatures is really your fault, is what you're saying.
All right. Anybody have any suggestions for a moving company? All right. And a realtor in Florida. I'm going back. You guys do home inspections down there, right? You'll travel?
Hey, if the money is right, abso-freaking-lutely we will travel.
That is the number one thing that I love about being an entrepreneur is that you're absolutely correct. If the money's right, we'll definitely travel. I've been offered a cleaning job out at the beach, and I'm like, that's a 2-hour drive. Are you sure? So when did you start your business in the home inspecting team?
2019, February.
Wow. And what was your ready moment that made you go jump into this?
I actually got laid off from my job. I was driving for Spectrum. Used to go to the warehouse in the morning and then take new equipment out to all their little stores and pick up their returns. And that's basically what I did, and was with them for a little while. And just one day I got laid off, just like that when 2020 hit. And we sat around for a little while, tried to figure out what to do. There wasn't not a lot of things I'm qualified for, but I spent a lot of time as a young man building houses and stuff. So and I have a I have a knack for finding things. Like when we watch detective shows and stuff like that, I can say, "Oh, well, I just saw that," and I'm able to pick things out. And so I thought, well, home inspection sounds like a good idea. So I went to school and got my license. And I'll tell you, I thought I knew everything about building a house and stuff because I'd been doing it for so long. But when I got taught how to be an inspector, it just opens up your eyes to so many other things and how to look at things, things I just never realized before. And a lot of people who own homes, they don't think about these things. It's just home. You go home, you do what you normally do. You don't think about safety issues and things like that until something happens, and then you think about it, right?
Always.
So that was a big eye opener for me, and it's kind of cool. I will tell you though that one of the things that happens to me when I inspect the house, when I was young, one of the first jobs I did was working for a fire restoration company, and we were working down the projects in DC. And the house that we were in, two children had died. It was really weird too because inside the house everything was burned up except for the area where the children died. It was on the second and third floor, and one of them jumped into the bathtub, and then basically on the other side of the wall, one of them hid underneath their bed, and it was eerie. It was really eerie, and for some reason, every time that I go to a home inspection, I think of those kids, and I guess it's one of the things that scares me is I hate to miss something that costs somebody their life. That's the one thing that's in my head all the time when I'm doing inspections.
It means you're doing a very thorough job, and we appreciate that because my home inspection, when I bought my house 5 years ago, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what you're supposed to look for either. And that's the other thing. I just trusted my real estate agent and my mortgage lender. And I'm like, cool, whoever you know. And so they come and they did this inspection and they gave us a report. And some of the stuff on there, I didn't know what it was, but it turns out that it wasn't as bad as they said it was. Like our vapor barrier, they were like, oh, you don't have one, you need to get one. I actually didn't get it done until last year, and it was fine until then. So making sure that you trust your home inspector, I think, is very important. And the fact that you do a thorough job makes me so happy because I was not happy with my inspection at all. They even told me something about my stairs were put together wrong. They had the wrong screws or something. So I had it checked out after the fact, and they were like, there's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, screws generally, believe it or not, this is one of the things that amazed me when I learned about home inspecting. Nails are actually stronger with your building materials because they're allowed to bend, so they can move a little bit. They're pliable. But with screws, they snap. So any kind of tension or anything. So you don't really want to build your house with screws. That would really be a bad idea. So yeah, I can see why they probably might have called those out. Now they're starting to come out with, because I've taken classes on hardware, believe it or not, connecting hardware, screws, bolts, all that kind of stuff. And there's they have different tolerances, and they support different weights, and they have different purposes. And now they're starting to come out with a screw that's kind of like a screw nail, where it will bend a little bit to give, but still hold. And that's the important thing, that it holds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, one other thing that was really weird to me was when we used to build walls, we'd build them on the ground and then we'd stand them up. So you'd have a bottom plate, and then you put your wall stud perpendicular to that. And we used to nail it through the bottom of the plate, and they still do this today. But the thing is, you can take that 2x4 and just bend it one way, bend it the other way, and it'll come right off. But instead of nailing it straight in, if you nail it at like a cross, shoot one nail at a 45, shoot the other nail at a 45, you can barely pull that thing apart with a truck. Just simple things like that. It's amazing that what we learned in class. So yeah.
That is great information because I did not know any of that. I just, it's together. That's all I got.
Yeah.
People that know Charlie will literally be commenting, you got him to say more than 4 words. So good job.
We're talking about his passion. I think that's where the key was.
That's the key. Absolutely.
And it's great to see that type of passion in your business. And I love that. It's one of the reasons why I really like hanging out with you guys, is that you're very passionate about what you do. And so am I. So it works really well. People who are just like, oh, this is money I make. I don't know. It's just, you can feel that energy in their business, in their work.
so much. It's blah, it's boring. So like, you can definitely tell when your soul matches another soul that's passionate about what they do, and they're not fake about it. Like they truly do have a heartfelt passion. And that's one of the things that we love about you. So congratulations on all your success. Super proud of you and super excited for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We, like I was saying before we got on recording, that we're up to 82 downloads. We've only been out for 3 weeks. So that's really big for me.
That's totally cool. Girl, get it. Get it.
Thank you. And this is another reason why I do this podcast, because I absolutely love hearing from other entrepreneurs, right? And I love the, what is it, like the passion, the energy, the everything. We're always pumping each other up. And that's like really important. Another reason, we're here today is because I was feeling kind of like, man, no one is going through the same journey as I am in the business ownership. And I thought, well, there's not a book that I can read. And yeah, I'm sure I could go on YouTube and find other people, but I wanted to really connect with my community and be like, hey, are you also feeling the same thing I'm feeling? Like, let's go talk about it. Let's share these experiences with other people. And it also opens your eyes to entrepreneurship, because there's so many people that go into it without having a support system or any type of connection. And that's like a really big thing to me. So tell me about your support system when you decided to start this business.
So when we decided to start the business, like Charlie had said, it was, after he had been laid off. So it was a little bit scary. We fortunately were in a position though, where we had some money saved up. And I was just kind of looking at Charlie and I was like, okay, we've got 6 months to try this. Let's put some effort into it. Let's see what we can get done. I know not everyone is as fortunate as we were with having some of that money kind of saved up. But we were in a position. Now, I will tell you, we were not smart with the money when we first started, because we didn't understand how to, what's the proper word? Like vest people, not vest, but like really understand them and ask the right questions to make sure that they were the right fit for us. We didn't understand some of those questions and how we needed to do that work. So we didn't spend it in the most wise ways. But when we first started, for us, it was really networking. We don't, at least at that point, we didn't have a lot of friends who were small business owners. Like, I'm coming from the corporate world. Charlie's coming from the corporate world. We had both come from the insurance side as well. So we didn't really have a lot of small business owners in our network. So for us, it really was truly networking. I don't want to misspeak. Can I start talking about networking and what's worked for us?
Tell us about networking. Tell us about all your projects. I want everyone to hear this.
Awesome. So when we first started, we were actually members of an amazing B&I group, RD18. Whoop, whoop, because I still love the people in that group. Absolutely adore them. And I feel like as a small business owner, when you are starting off, I really do think a structured networking group like B&I could be a good fit for so many. It's really getting you in. And while you're not in that corporate world, it's giving you corporate metrics, right? Like, and it's giving you an easy way in to meet other people. Like, you can, what is it, like 38 B&I chapters in the Triangle or something,
and growing.
And growing. So, when you join a B&I group, you now have access to these 38 other different chapters. And so that for us was a good way to kind of wet our feet. Before we joined our B&I group, we actually did visit about 17 different other B&I groups. Because we are not normal. We are not your get up, get dressed, have a 3-piece suit on, wear heels, like don't say like bad words, like. And so for us, we needed to find a group that fit that, where we felt like we could be ourselves coming into the group. And so we had, it literally was 16 or 17 groups before we found the one that fit for us. And so grateful for that group. Trinity French was I can't remember. I don't even remember what her maiden name was anymore, but Trinity French. Wasn't it Gregor? Trinity Gregor?
Yes, that's right.
Gregor.
Sorry, I get really excited. Nice shout.
I know. I'm like, I can't remember. She was a huge resource for us when we first started. She's a real estate agent in Raleigh, in case you guys don't know her. And she really kind of helped us get our foot into the networking world. I think her and then Mike Manning He really was a huge push. Like, you have to get out, you have to be seen. If you want to be visible and, create some of that credibility, you can't do it from your home. You can't just do it from behind your computer screen. And so from them, we started networking. And girl, let me tell you, in Raleigh, Durham, Clayton, wherever you're from, if you're in this area, you can freaking network from sun up to sundown, and you can run yourself ragged from networking from sun up to sundown. And so I would say the first year we did not network in the right way. If there was a networking event and we knew about it, we were there. We were, we were there. We were there to really push our business. We were just there. And from that, we became really well known to a lot of people. And from that, we started getting attacked by what I call the emotional vampires.
Yes.
The people that just drain you dry. I mean, they just get in there, they bite your neck, and they suck the living crap out of you. They want all the referrals from you. They want all your connections. They want to give. They just want to grab. Give me. And to be perfectly frank, we burnt ourselves out on networking because we were networking in the wrong way with the wrong people. And that's just from going to any networking group because that's, what we thought we were supposed to do. So at about a year and a half into networking, we really kind of got smart about tracking where we're getting our referral system. And for us, when we say referral system, like, we aren't just talking about people who give us business. We're talking about people that can connect us with people that we need to be connected with. Like, we are home inspectors. A really good referral source for us is going to be any of your tradespeople, because when our clients say, hey, my HVAC is gross and icky, do you know of someone? We need to know an incredible HVAC guy to refer to them. So for us, networking was not just what can we get? It was who can we connect with, who can we give to, and then of course, what can we get? Because you have to have ROI on your time. You have to understand the return on investment on your time. From that, of course, COVID hit. Wah, wah, wah. And I'll be honest, our not having to travel to different networking groups and being able to, do them virtually, I loved it. I loved that. Like, that was great.
Me too.
Right? Not to have that travel time between groups. Girl, give me more of it. Like, I love that.
I agree. And putting that screen between you and someone else, they can't suck your energy.
Yes, I loved it. And you can always end it really quickly without being too awkward about having to be in the same room with them and walking away.
I still not master that at all. I will be so Wendy Zaccanini with Zucchini Inc. Anytime I'm at a networking event and she's there, I give her the signal and she will come literally pull me away because I do not know how to end things. The last one we went to for the chamber, she was like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Let's go." She just grabbed my hand, pulled me out. Sometimes you need a friend like that in networking.
I agree. And I think networking in pairs is actually very, very smart. I've learned that if I'm just perfectly transparent about it, hey, I don't want to hog your time. So I'm, I hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to step away. Or I'll be like, hey, not to be weird, but I really have to go pee. And once you tell someone you have to go pee, they're not going to continue to ask you questions. It gives you a really good chance to walk away. So now, of course, you have to be comfortable talking about pee, but
Yes. I learned a very interesting Southern way of doing this and cutting conversations because I'm not from here. I'm from the only place you have to drive north to get to the South. So I come here and I was like, oh, so if you say, let me let you go, I was like, that's it? That's all I got to do?
Yeah.
Simple. And it took me a long time to learn that.
I think that's a really good trick too. Sorry, squirrel. See, this is what happens when we talk. It's squirrel.
I love it though. It's the ADHD and I am deciding to lean into it instead of away from it. For years, I pretended that I don't have it. And I realize that is detrimental to my own mental health, is to pretend I don't have it. Nope, I have it. And here's how I'm managing it.
And I love that you bring that up because I think specifically as women, and Charlie, please don't take offense of this, but men in general get the luxury of thinking in a single box. Like, here's my box. I'm going to think in my box and I'm going to check off my box. Women, we have so many boxes open in our heads, that it's hard for us to stay focused. And I think it's also why sometimes we get a little irritated when we can't at least check off a single box.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's good for someone just like you, that you've had your hands in so many things. And I think you've been able to do that because of the way that your brain works, and you aren't just stuck in a box. So lean into that. I mean, like, I get that you have to have ways to control it because you don't want it to, like, control and rule your life. But I think that's where a lot of the creativity and the inspiration comes from. So kudos. All right.
Circling
Networking.
back around, networking.
Yes. Dum, dum, dum. So anyway, so during COVID, we really, really learned that for us, where we were being picky about our ROI, and just our personal investment of time, after COVID was even more obvious to us. So we looked at different groups about, like, hey, how do we kind of move forward? Do we want to join an existing group? Do we want to create a group of our own? Because at that point, we had decided to leave our BNI group, and that was not an easy choice for us. Like, we absolutely loved our BNI group. But I think for us, that 45-minute drive there, the 2.5-hour meeting, and then the 45-minute drive back, it's a half of our day. And that was a really hard justification for us to have, 4 to 5 hours blocked out, especially when we were in that real estate market world. Holy crap, in 2020 and 2021, where we couldn't control our pipeline. We would literally get phone calls. Hey, we're about to go look at this house in 2 hours. Can you be there and give us a pre-inspection? I cannot tell you how many times we were literally out in the middle of Jordan Lake kayaking, and Charlie would get a call and they'd be like, we're going to be at this house in 45 minutes. Can you meet us there and do a pre-inspection? Because that's when all the bids were coming in on the homes, and they were getting the 20, 30 bids on a home. So if you wanted it, you had to jump.
Yeah.
So for us, when we can't really control our schedule at that point, which for two control freaks, that was really hard to accustom to. But not being able to control our schedule, it was really hard for us to block out that 4 or 5 hours that we needed per week for BNI. So we thought about starting our own networking group, and Charlie had a really cute name for it. What was the name, Charlie? Like Mom and Pop, or?
I don't remember.
Oh no. Okay. Well, it was really cute. I think it was Mom and Pops, and we actually had the space worked out. We're going to work at meet at the Denny's off of 401 and just create our own small networking group. And we realized as we were trying to create our small networking group that everything we were pulling from an existing group already had. And that group is TANG, TANG, which is Triangle Area Networking Group. It was already in Clayton at that point. It started in North Raleigh by an amazing person, and then Victoria Johnson extended it to Clayton, and then really, in my opinion, really kind of made Tang what Tang is today, and why it's so appealing to so many small business owners. So everything, again, when we started looking at creating this networking group, we're like, Tang already has it. Why are we trying to like recreate the wheel here? So we connected with Victoria and got her permission to extend Tang to Fuquay, Varina. We are not from Fuquay, so you may be like, why Fuquay? We just love the town. We loved Fuquay Varina. We loved the small businesses that were already there. We loved the feel. We already worked a lot in Fuquay, and then of course, spent a lot of our money in Fuquay, and just so thought Fuquay Varina was a great town. So we decided to start Tang in Fuquay Varina. The first meeting we had, I told Charlie, I was like, listen, if we have 4 people, I'll be super happy. Just 4 people, and like, I am good. Well, 2 years later, right now we're at 29 members.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I don't think that's us. I really think that's our group. And I think that's a huge credit and a clap to the group and to the hearts of the group. Our group has a huge passion for not only strengthening ourselves as business owners, but also extending that to our community. We actually donate to a nonprofit every quarter. So we support at least four nonprofits per year. Last year, we were able to raise over $13,000 to local nonprofits. We're very, very proud of that. Look, I have goosebumps.
Me
Very, very
too.
proud of that. Love the group. This year, it's July. We've already donated $14,000 to our local nonprofits. Super, super proud of the group. Love, love, love the hearts of the group. Um, and you and I kind of talked about before where when you're in certain networking groups, you're almost forced to refer because you have to hit metrics, right? Um, and I think in our group, we are picky about who we let into our group, which I do think you have to be. Um, but when people come into our group, we really, really push that you have to know, like, and trust. And yes, that is a BNI principle, but it is an amazing BNI principle because I think when you naturally know people, you naturally like people, you naturally trust people, you're going to naturally refer people. You're not forced to give a referral. And I think that's really, really what's made um, our success in networking and our success with Tang really kind of move forward. And I think that's why our group, not only our group, but the group in Clayton, because right now there's only two local Tang chapters, the one in Clayton and then the one in Fuquay. I feel like that's really, really why our groups are so, we're regarded so highly. And I think why other people are trying to get into the group. And I've talked a lot, so I'm going to be quiet for a second.
No, that's the whole point of this podcast. And I think that Charlie got muted and I don't know how to unmute him.
I think he may be. There he is.
Sweet. Hey, we're all still learning. This is my 6th podcast. So I am still learning and I'm okay with that. I want people to see my growth from, hey, she's stumbling and tripping over on her own toes, to, hey, she's a lot better. So that's kind of another reason why we're doing this podcast, because I wanted people from all aspects of entrepreneurship, from literal beginning to, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. Because I feel like it's very important to see the entire journey. It's up and it's down. It is a roller coaster ride. It is my favorite though. And I think the ADHD allows it to be okay. Because one week I can be making a lot of money, one week I can be making none. But I've learned to adjust and be like, this is okay. Like, and
Yeah.
you were saying with the networking, circling back around to that, you're absolutely correct with the BNI. I think that's a great place to start. That is what an entrepreneur suggested to me, which is how I ended up getting into it, because I started my business literally a month before the shutdown. And I was like, cool, how am I supposed to make this work? Not really sure. So I spoke to another business owner down in Florida. I was doing graphic design and stuff for them at the time. And he's like, you got to try BNI. I was like, all right, cool. So I went to a meeting and I was like, all right, like I can get used to this, like structure, discipline. I have to be here. I have to be accountable. And then the ADHD struck me down dead. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against BNI. I just personally cannot. I wasn't good with school, so I'm not going to be good with that. But I'm great with my business. Make it make sense, right? I'm always on time. I never cancel. And I make sure that I take care of my clients. So that's what drew me into the whole entrepreneurship thing, was being able to kind of control that more and deal with it. But then I also, the same thing happened. And this was in the pandemic era. I started out in BNI. I was there for like 6 months. And I was like, man, this is like really hard for me. But I was meeting a lot of amazing human beings. And I got to go to different meetings and get to, stretch beyond where I was at. And then just kind of talk to people. And that's when I ran into Victoria as well. And she invited me to BNI, or I'm sorry, to Tang. And it was in downtown Clayton at the time. Or no, it was online. That's what it was. But I met her in downtown Clayton. And I walked into Boulevard West. And I was like, okay, I'm going to meet with Victoria.
Was it Boulevard West?
Who did not meet at Boulevard West? Like let's be honest.
Right? Yeah.
So I walk in there and she's like saying hi to like 5 different people, and they're all walking up to her. And I was like, oh my God, like I got really like starstruck. I was like, people, that's so exciting. And she turned to me and she goes, that's going to be you soon. And I was like, thank you. So I went to Tang and I loved it. I was there for 2 years. They do have this similar structure, but I don't know why I didn't feel as nearly as much pressure. It could just be because I really connected with these people too. That's why I think it's important to visit many different ones to find the right fit for yourself and your business. You can't just think about your business, because sometimes it doesn't work out mental health wise. So I just want to like bring that up.
Well, most networking groups you're going to meet weekly. So if you wake up the day that you're supposed to go to your networking group and you are dreading going to your networking group, you're not in the right networking group. We all have those weeks where we are exhausted, we're tired. Any type of additional appointment is going to have that sense of dum dum dum. But if you are consistently dreading going and seeing these people that are supposed to kind of be a refresher for you and be those cheerleaders and be that sense of encouragement, but also be that tush kicker when you need to have a tush kicker, you really have to consider that. I know with the Tang and Fuquay, we operate more of a mastermind. So for me, that was really a deciding difference when we were looking at networking groups. Um, as much as we love our members, we don't have a member speak to us 10 minutes per week. Because when a member stands up and they talk to you 10 minutes per week, they are telling you about their business, and that's great. We all need to learn about each other's businesses so then we can naturally refer and naturally learn those keywords. But ultimately, when you are meeting with them, that is information you could learn on a one-to-one. That's information you could learn if you actually hired them and you did work with them.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Did you just say 1-to-1?
Oh, I'm sorry. He makes fun of me. So with our, Tang, T-A-N-G, instead of it calling a meeting, M-E-E-T-I-N-G, we call it a meetang, M-E-E-T-A-N-G, a meetang.
That is so funny. I love it.
So for us, we again, we love our members. We want them to be focused, but what they're standing in front of us every week for 10 minutes can be learned in a meeting. It can be learned with working with them. It can be learned by hiring them to actually figure out what they do. So instead, we have things like, help me learn how to do Canva. How do I create Canva? And now what platform do you guys recommend that I go on to schedule my social media stuff? Hey, I don't know how to set up my Google. When I set up my Google business account, how do I set it up? How do I, put in the SEO? How do I kind of put that through? Hey, I'm having a really crappy month. I'm this close to being burnout. What are tips and tricks that I can do to not get burnt out? How can I recognize the triggers that are going to trigger me to get to the point where I just say, freak all of this? How do I recognize those triggers? And then once those triggers are there, how do I deal with it? And I think these are all things that business owners, like we really need. We need to understand, like, one of the things that our group does is we break them into verticals. So we have all of our tradespeople together. We have all of our financial insurance people together. We have our creatives together, and we have them sit and talk. What's working for you this quarter? What's not working for you this quarter? How are you handling your time management? How are you creating systems and processes that are working for you? Like, we really are coming together and we are sharing. Now, we are sharing, what we have as a group. That doesn't mean that we always know what's best, right? So from that point, we are kind of referring to people that we know, like, hey, this is as far as I can get you, but this person can get you 10 steps further. So we are constantly referring.
Guys, I want to jump in because a lot's been said. And when we were starting the group, a lot of things that we wanted to change on the things we didn't like, the things that drove us crazy with the networking groups, and the fact that we had made so many mistakes when we started off. We wasted so much money, and we wanted to make it fun and entertaining to come in and into our group. You've been to our group before. We don't do things really normally, but we do all these activities and things, these business building activities. And when we do break up in when we do break up into groups, what we do is we have each group discuss either something similar or something different, and then at the end of the meeting, we have everybody come back to the table, and we all go around the table and we talk about what we learned, what you got from what your group was talking about. And so everybody in the group can hear all these different things. So, hey, that works for me. There's hardly ever a meeting that we have where you don't come away with something valuable for your business. Like when we were talking about the Google My Business page, we didn't just come in and say, hey, everybody, we're going to talk about business Google page. No, we said, hey, everybody, get your phones out, get your laptop out, go to your Google business page, and we're going to go through step by step, 32 steps to make your business page the best it can possibly be. And we did it in the meeting. We didn't send people home and say, do this in your spare time, because we all know you don't have spare time.
Not as
You
much
know,
anymore.
so we're doing the activities. We're getting the things done during the meeting, and not expecting people to do them in their spare time. So that's helped out a lot of business. Our Facebook. I don't know if anybody else did this in your group, but this is what we did. We started, we tell people, hey, you're in this community group, and somebody's looking for a painter, and a lot of people would just go, they don't really tell anybody. They just refer that maybe one person in the group saw that post and they comment on it.
Mhm.
So what we did, we started our own chat in Facebook for our group, and when there was a referral, a post, we would copy the link from that post, bring it into our group chat, and say, "Hey, our painter needs some referrals for this post." And we've actually had people complain on posts saying, "Hey, this sounds like one of those referral groups, where everybody refers." And we just had this discussion 2 weeks ago, where there is 29 people in our group, and 15 of us will go on there and recommend our painter or whoever, right? So in order to just say, hey, we highly recommend so and so, or just tag their name, right? That's not really a referral. So what we do is we go in there and say, hey, I've sent my clients to this person. I can guarantee you that I've not had any issues or any complaints, but I will tell you that I've gotten a lot of compliments. I get a lot of compliments from the people that I refer out to my clients, because I deal with, home inspections. And of course, once I give them the report, one of the first things I hear is, hey, do you know an HVAC guy? Hey, do you know an electrician? Do you know a handyman? And you know what? I do. I know a lot of them. And I know the best ones, because when Nikki goes out and networks, and she meets a handyman, they're at my house the next day doing something.
I love that you brought that up, because that's something else I kind of want to highlight is how do you support like your network of people? You're in a networking group, obviously on there, using them, making sure that you're giving good referrals like that, and also interacting with their posts and sharing them. And I feel like that's something that people miss a lot too. It's like, we're doing this, supporting them, not because we're trying to be annoying.
The Facebook, just as an example, because a lot of people are on Facebook, right? And it's a great referral source. So there's a lot of people that I can refer personally, the business stuff, like the home service people. But then you got the accountants, the financial people, people I don't really run. I don't run across those referrals a lot, right? So what we did as a group, and we actually did this in one of our meetings, where we all went and we went to we friended every single person in our group, right? But that's not enough. If you go in there and you there's a couple things you can do. You can select some things that will make sure that you get every single post that they post, so you can share it. So now, instead of just one person seeing something every once in a while, now every time I post, I got 29 people who I know get it, and they can share it. And once, because that's the way Facebook works. Once you share things and you're commenting, it's getting activity. Well, that tells Facebook, hey, this is something that people want to see, and they show it more. But just going in and every once in a while, I find one, or like I said, even when it's a finance person, somebody's looking for a financial person, I can still refer that person, because I know that person. They're in my group every week. I've been networking with them for a year. I've had meet tangs with them, So it's just.
I love that you called it a meet tang.
Well, yeah, it's just there's a lot of things that people do, and we can do them better. There's always ways to do them better. And we actually do that. Like I said, during that, we said, hey, everybody, get your phones out, go to Facebook. We're going to be doing some things today. And right after that meeting, actually, our referrals and our group changed, because we started being able to refer a whole lot more people all of a sudden, because we were all getting involved in everybody's business, and it works. It works really good.
But I do think, and I do want to go back to like when you are in a networking group, there's always going to be metrics, no matter what networking group you're in. We were also part of Capital Area Networking Group. Love them. They're based out of Holly Springs. They meet every Thursday morning. So if you're interested in that group, great group. But whatever group you're in, they're going to have metrics, and that is, I hate to use the word fair because everyone goes, that's not fair. But with the word fair, you have to hold each other accountable, right? Because you don't want someone coming into your group and being that vampire. So your metrics are your way of making sure that you're not getting people coming in and just using the group, that they actually are giving back. So when you have your metrics, I think it is very natural for a group to just shove those metrics down your throat. You have not referred this person. You are not meeting what you signed up for. And I think when you are in a group that you truly are getting to know the people, from getting to know the people, you are liking them. And when we say liking them, you do not have to be best friends with everyone. There are some people that like you are not going to be best friends with. But when you're referring with someone, you do want to build that sense of trust. And when like, hey, I don't want to listen to his name because I think that would be really awkward. But like when you
Barbie.
go, hey, I know Barbie, like, hey, I may not be a huge fan of Barbie, but I trust Barbie. I know that whenever I send Barbie out to your home, or whenever I send Barbie out to you and you ask that you call her, Barbie's going to answer her call. She's going to answer within 48 hours. I know she's going to respond to you. And she may not be the best fit because her prices may not match you. But as far as like being a person who's going to return your call, be professional, and be that resource that you asked for, that is Barbie. And so I think when you're in a group where you have those principles of no and you have those principles of like, and it comes to trust, you don't have to be a referral group at that point. That's not what you are. And I think that's why for us, like we lean more on, we are a business building group that just happens to give referrals. And so when we have people who are like, this is a referral group, when you have all those people referring you on Facebook, we aren't going to respond to that because, okay, yeah, technically you're correct. But unlike most groups, we have actually used the majority of our people here. Like we actually know what they do, what they're like. Like, I know Desta, you're like this a lot. Our names are the only thing we truly own.
Mm-hmm.
So Desta, when I tell you to call Barbie, my name is attached to you calling Barbie. So now my name is attached to Barbie's name. So if you have a bad experience with Barbie, you're going to have a bad feeling towards me. Whether it's long term or not, that's how things work. So, I think it's really, really, truly important that whether it is a group like Tang, or if it's a group like BNI, or if it's a group like CAN, that you're just going in and you are truly taking the time before you join the group to understand if these are people that you can know, like, and trust. Dustin, you've been in sales for many, many years. Charlie, you've been in sales for many, many years. As a salesperson, I can usually within 30 seconds tell if I'm going to have a connection with you or not. And again, that doesn't mean I have to like you, but whether I'm going to have a connection with you. If you aren't making eye contact, you're acting shifty, your story's changing 10 times.
You can tell when people aren't genuine.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, trust your gut. We are huge fans of Rockstar Connect as well. Stephen, David, Elliott, and Sarah Elliott have done a great job with that group. That is a non-seat specific group. And there's, I think there's like 10 of those chapters. I'm using the word chapter very loosely, but there's 10 of those that meet around the triangle. There's no cost to those. It's just, hey, show up at this restaurant, have a couple drinks, go around and meet people. We've actually had a huge success in those meetings as well. So it doesn't have to be complicated. I think people make networking complicated, and it doesn't need to be. The number one key to networking is show up. And then, like I tell our kiddo, like we have a kiddo who's recently started working with us, and he has a lot of social anxiety about going out and being in these groups and meeting people. And so we've said to him, one, bring someone with you. If your anxiety really is that high, and let's be honest, I think since COVID, a lot of us have a little bit more of that increased anxiety when we go out and we're meeting new people, bring someone with you. They don't always have to be stuck at your side, but if that's what you need, then do what you need to do, but show up. And then two, something that we always tell our kiddos is your goal is not to get 10 business cards and to make 10 referrals. You're there to make one new connection. That's it. So every networking event you go to, whether it's a 2 hour long networking thingy or you're only there for 30 minutes, your goal is to make one new connection. One.
And sometimes
Once I
that's all
told
it
my
takes to open doors. Like I really feel that way because I met you. I cannot remember. I have a really bad memory, but I feel like I met you for the first time at a Tang event in
at Michael Strauss's, yeah,
is it Michael's.
yeah,
Okay, I was like, it was downtown Clayton. I remember that much. And we just connected like instantly, and we
yeah,
have been friends ever since. And that's great, because when I thought about starting a different business, I came to you and I was like, hey, what can I do? What should I do? And that was a really good connection for me to kind of evaluate and realize like whether or not I had the energy to do that, whether or not it was something I could build upon. And circling back to the networking group, that's another thing that I love about Tang is the professional development, personal development within it. It's not
yeah,
just, hey, this is my 30-second, use my business. It's, hey, we all are having an issue with this. Let's address it together so that nobody, suffers. And that's really
so much.
important, especially when you're looking for a networking group too that like, and trust. You want to make sure that there's that personal and professional development aspect to it.
So much.
Oh
I
yeah.
know we focused a lot on networking. That's probably not what you meant your
Oh,
podcast
no,
to
that's okay.
focus on. So so feel free to take us on to whatever next path you want to take us
Well,
on.
I always like to ask about your company. So we had mentioned you are in the home inspecting business, and I understand that you may get residual customers, but most of the time probably not. So how do you measure success? Obviously not by the amount of, clients that you're constantly getting, but like what is your measurement for success? How do you know your business is successful?
I think that's a really great question. And I think with many companies, sometimes you only focus on the dollar amount. Like, am I matching this amount of money? And I think to all businesses, you do have to measure your success to a certain extent to the dollar amount because, we all have that base dollar amount where if we don't bring it in, we're not paying our bills.
Correct.
So that is definitely going to be a measure of success. But I think for us, we do work with a lot of real estate agents. So for us, it's are they continuing to send clients our way? And there are some times where I think there can be some ways where the business doesn't continue, unfortunately, and relationships just don't work out. And I think at that point you can look at that as a fail of your success. But I think as long as you're able to look at that relationship, figure out what happened, was it something that you specifically did, or was it just something that wasn't communicated? It was unexpected or unrealistic expectations. You know how to move forward. But I think for us, the way that we measure our success is one, making sure that we are getting our bills paid,
What's that?
just
Yeah.
a little thing. A little thing. And then two, it's just the referrals that we have that come back to us. That is really important to us. And then I think another measure of our success for us specifically, it's something we take a lot of pride in, is how are we helping other businesses grow as well. We do work with a lot of trades professionals, and we hate it when we make them grow so much that now they can't come to a networking event because they're so busy they can't come to a networking event. But we love that at the same time because we're like, we may not have been there and been like the 100% cause of you being able to extend your business, but we know that we've been a huge part of that, and that makes us really proud.
I think another measure of success too for you specifically is brand recognition, and also realizing that you get referred a lot, even to people who just used you for their own home. So your clients, like you guys have a great brand, and I love your logo, by the way. It's very welcoming, and I just love it. And I think that's very important when you think about success, right? Making sure that
Yeah.
brand recognition, making sure people know who you are. And you guys have done an amazing job at that.
Well, we really, really appreciate that. I always giggle because people think that is the creativity is coming from me. No, my brain does not have room in it for creativity. All of that comes from Charley Crowe. Like our logos that you see, our business cards, like everyone loves our business card because it looks like a little cell phone. It's got our pictures. Like everyone is always like, oh, that's so great. You did such a good job. And I'm like, that wasn't me. That was 1000% Charley Crowe. So I'm very, very lucky to have a partner, not only in my personal life, but in my professional life that is open to doing new things and is creative and can also function on the other side. So not to be weird, and you can cut me off if you like. We have a business where we rent out our camper as well. And we started this business probably like 2018, 2019 when we were starting the home inspector team, because we thought, if this doesn't work out well, we can make enough money from renting our camper to at least pay our mortgage, right? So we're not going to be like without a roof over our heads. And so from that, just being able to see this like sexy man be able to take our 40-foot camper and like back it into like these spaces that, okay, I'm not trying to be dirty, that are like really tight and like, but like having a man who is like capable when something breaks on the camper, he can fix it. Like, whew, Desta, getting me hot over here.
Oh, I feel you 1,000%. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's something else that I also like to highlight in this podcast, is that when you have one business, multiple streams of income is definitely where your mind goes. And so sometimes people get addicted to being an entrepreneur. I know that that's my personal problem, and I'm trying to reel that in, because I just jump on it and I'm like, cool, I can make so much money, I'm going to do this. And then I go, but then I have to follow through after I get it started. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for me. It's, the disability is the inconsistency. And so that's why
Let me
I love
say something about that. If you look at all the most richest people in the world, they don't do one thing.
No, I started paying attention to that, and I'm like, oh, you own several companies, you do different things. Like, how can I be like you? And, my biggest inspiration, this is terrible and everyone's going to judge me, but Kris Jenner took 6 children with 0 talent and she turned them into money-making machines, right? Like, they weren't like, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. It was just like, I'm pretty. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so she was my biggest inspiration when I started like wanting to be a business owner, because I'm like, look at this woman. She's out there killing it with negotiation, making these contracts, getting that money. Right. So that was my biggest inspiration. Who was your biggest inspiration?
For being a business owner, I'm gonna let Charlie talk about that, because I don't think we had inspiration. Like, at least I didn't. My main goal was, can we get this business started and get our bills paid?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I've been an entrepreneur since as long as I can remember. I had paper route when I was 12, and then like I started working at a diner when I was 15. But I always wanted to be the boss. I always wanted to be a boss. But my personal limitation was I always felt like I needed support. And Elon Musk said something in an interview one time when somebody asked him, "What kind of encouragement could you give to a young entrepreneur?" And he said, if they need encouragement, this isn't for them.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and actually that, I kind of opened up when I heard that, because I've always felt like I needed support, but you got to see a need and you got to fill it, and we've pivoted so much since we started our business. We went this way, we went that way. We wanted all these different things. And here we are today. Just a basic home inspection company with, all the things that you need to get, all the services that you need to get your home inspected, so it's safe before you purchase. Right. That's always been the base. But we are always looking for these other niches. These, the more you niche down, the more money you're gonna make. That's the rule. So the smaller the niche, the more you're gonna make. As the broader you are, the less you're gonna make. You're trying to please everybody. That seems to be a typical thing with entrepreneurs, is we want to please everybody. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm done pleasing everybody. I want to please the people that appreciate my work, and for those who don't, I don't have time for you. You know what I mean?
No, that's so true, because that was me at first. I remember when I first started, I was like, anybody who needs a house cleaned, right? Anybody. No, we're going to take that right out and throw it out the window, because you don't want just anybody. And that's something I like to highlight too, is on our Patreon that we're doing, is we're helping people figure out who their ideal client is. What does that look like to you? And making sure that I funnel it down for them so that they can understand who that is. Because for me, it was
once you know who it is, you can target them. You can know how to market to them. Yeah, but without knowing, it's shotgun. Shotgun marketing. Shoot it out there and see what sticks.
That was actually one of the things that I learned when I first started in Tang, is that I wasn't allowed to say anybody. So that was one of the professional developments that we did, was like, we literally sat down and we did the funnel. I don't know if you guys have done the funnel, but I was like, okay, what does this person look like? What is their income? What is their daily life? How am I helping it?
Exactly.
And then I was able
Exactly.
to really target it because my ideal client is not everybody anymore.
Yeah.
And that's also got me into some trouble. So I'll just briefly share this story. So one time I had a client and she just wanted me to come in and clean her bathrooms and her kitchen. Cool, no problem. The only problem was is that she didn't do anything between the times that I was there. So I would get there and there was like food stuck in the carpet, or
Oh,
just, the trash is overflowing, and there's just, I had to pick up and I had to do everything. And that wasn't my ideal client, because not only did that cost me time, it cost me money, because now I'm having to pay to do this and not charging her.
that's hard.
So I find like
Yeah.
it's really important to know who your ideal client is and to have boundaries. One thing that is very important in business is boundaries, because people in a service industry like yourself and mine will try to ask for more than what they paid for.
Oh man, people. I don't understand why people think just because we're in the service industry that our prices are negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that all the time, and I just recently heard something that really helped too. Is uh, price is what you pay, value is what you get.
You're full of inspiration. I just want you to know, like, these are things that are making my, goosebumps come out. I'm like, I didn't know this. Okay. And I've only been on this journey here in Clayton for 4 years. But prior to that, I was an entrepreneur in Florida, but it's vastly different. I will say that much. Networking is vastly different there. Everything is vastly different. So when I came here, I had to kind of learn everything over again, which was great for me because it worked better here. It did not work the best down there. I was in an area, there was over 1 million people. So obviously my competition, it was
Yeah,
not.
competition. That's something a lot of people don't think about. Like in the real estate world, I'll just give you some numbers that'll just blow your mind. In Wake County, there's like 9,000 real estate agents. Yeah, and there's only about 1,000 houses on the market at any time. So sometimes when we lose realtors, we're thinking, "Oh my God, what did I do wrong?" We had at our 3 year mark, we had a period of about 3 months where I did not make a dime. I actually started thinking this was over and we needed to start looking for some other type of income. And I called one of my more frequent agents, and I was like, "Are we doing something wrong? What can I do to continue to earn your business?" And she was like, "We're not selling anything. We're not using you because we don't have because we're not selling, or we don't have anything right now." It gets rough, and my business is affected that way. And something that I've learned recently, because you never stop learning, okay. And we have a person in our group who's a business coach on the side. He doesn't promote it in the group, but when I had a meeting with him, we were talking, and I was telling him, service businesses, we're up and down like this, okay. Especially if you're outside work or something, my type of work. And that gets really old because it's very stressful. It's real nice when you're up on the high and you can pay all your bills and you got extra money to do the marketing and stuff, but then it drops and you don't have any money to make that next mortgage payment or your next bill, and then you're really worried, and then it starts coming in again and you start feeling that relief. Well, that is just going to kill me early. I just know it. So we were talking, and it was like, we need to find out that way to make that reoccurring, that monthly residual income from your business. And I'm like, I'm a home inspector. Okay. People only get their house inspected once. Okay. This is a really general statement, but it's mostly true. 99.9% true. People only get home inspected once, and that's when they buy it, if they get that done then. Some people just bypass it. They don't think it's worth the money. They don't understand the value of the home inspection. So what we tried to come up with is this: we got introduced to a 1 year warranty program through my home inspection software company, and then and so I'm thinking, okay, so that's great. So now I can offer this 1 year warranty, and I thought, well, what if I could offer yearly services like HVAC? HVAC companies should come out to your house twice a year. Okay, they should come out in the spring. They should come out in the fall, and make sure your heater's working, make sure your AC is working. That's why they come out. And I thought, well, how can I provide those? Because people don't take care of their houses. They don't. I did just don't. Some people do. Most people don't, because it's either a money factor or an issue like that, or people don't have the money to just cough up. I just did an inspection that was $1,900. This was one inspection. Yeah, it was an older house. The home inspection part was only about 600, but then we did a septic inspection. They did an HVAC inspection. They did a pest inspection. They wanted a water inspection. Yeah, that's all the ones that they got. And that was $1,900. Well, most people can't afford that. So then I was thinking, well, how can I offer these services and make it affordable? So you know what the simple answer was? PayPal. PayPal's been around forever. I mean, since the 90s, when eBay started, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about PayPal is they have a pay later program.
Oh, I didn't know
So yeah, and it's so simple and it's really cool too because here's the best part: if you're in a real estate transaction, I guarantee you're 99.99% sure to have the credit to get the pay later through PayPal. Just being in that transaction, because if you don't have enough credit, you're not going to be able to buy the house. They'll tell you before you even start looking because they do that pre-qualification letter where, hey, what are your finances? Do you have enough money to buy a house? Once they qualify you, I automatically are 99% sure that PayPal is going to approve you. So why just stop with the home inspection? Why just get the home inspection when you can get the home inspection to pass the water, the septic, and everything that you want to know about if your house is safe for a low monthly fee? You know what that does? That gets me to work, and that gets me a steady income every month for a year.
Right. And your clients get peace of mind.
Well, actually, no, it's not. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not payments to me. PayPal pays me up front all the money, and they collect the payments. So I'm no longer a collection agency. I hate collecting money from people. All my inspections, you pay me up front. I when we first started, it'd be like, oh, just pay me whenever, right? Screw that. Yeah, that is so much time that's uncomfortable. I hate calling people saying, hey, you owe me money. I don't like that. So we just eliminated that. If it's not paid before I get there, I'm not doing the inspection. That's pretty simple. And
Same rule.
we've been burned. Well, a lot of realtors will ask us if we can pay at closing, and that's great because the lawyer will send me the check.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, and if they don't pay me, I put a lien on their house. Nobody wants that.
No.
So yeah, we had one that was we do new construction bundles for pre-drywall, the closing inspection, and the 1-year warranty. We had one. I went out and did the pre-drywall. This was like an hour. It was like an hour and 15 minutes to get to the house. I remember this because I really got screwed on it. So I drove out there an hour and 15 minutes. Get there, the house isn't ready because if the fire blocking isn't in the house, I won't inspect it because I always find where the fire blocking's been missed. I always do, and that's what fire blocking is. What keeps the fire down on the first level, so you have extra time to get out of the house before the fire goes to the next level. Any holes or any penetrations in the floor, the fire can go right up and catch the next level on fire. So I'm real stickler on that. And I always find where they missed. So it wasn't ready. Drive an hour and 15 minutes back home. Come back next week. So I'm already been driving a couple hours now. I do the inspection. So I've driven 4 hours. I was there at the house for a couple hours for the report. Closing inspection comes, same thing. I go out there, I inspect the house, come back. They backed out of the deal and refused to pay me.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't put a lien on something you don't own.
That's true.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, so now I have to ask my agents, look, are you going to guarantee this money? Because if you're not, I'm not going to do it. And, they know their clients better than I do because I've never met them. They've had interactions with them so far. So, yeah, and all my realtors so far have been like, no problem, yes, I'll cover it. If something goes bad, but it's never come up again. It's nothing bad's ever come up. So since that time,
I love hearing that because, and not because it happened to you and it was terrible. I love hearing it because I understand the loss that we go through when we're initially doing stuff and we're learning. And I feel like it's important to highlight the fact that like none of us know what we're doing when we jump into this. And if it isn't for these lessons that hurt us real bad sometimes, then we're not going to figure out new SOPs. And that's, something that I want to also like say is that when my business was the same, it'd be like, pay me after I clean. Well, then I have them, oh, well, can I Venmo you? Can I give you a check? Well, I don't know you. So I'm not sure you're going to do it. And I actually had to be a collections person for another business that used me. And we had to call them every single day and, make sure it took us like 3 months to get a $500 check. It was,
these kind of things too this is what we like about Tang, because I can come in on a Friday and say, you know what? Because I do when Nikki and I do this together, where we come up with the activities every week that we do in our group. And sometimes it'll be just, hey, I really got screwed this week, and come out to the group and say, hey, this is what happened. I got taken advantage of. I spent all my time and money. how could I have prevented this? And all of a sudden, they got 29 different great ideas on how to deal with it, and I can pick and choose which ones I think are going to work best for me. And that's really the value of our networking group. That, and we didn't talk about this earlier, and I just want to spit it out. We have accountability partners in our group. So every quarter, I mix the names up, and basically they get together with the meeting and they go over their goals for that quarter, for the year, and they meet regularly hey, you said you were going to do this last week. Did you get it done? It's accountability, and most people have to pay thousands of dollars for a coach or somebody to have that accountability. And here you can just come to our group for $40 every 3 months and get an accountability partner that's really going to help you grow, because we have great people in our group.
Yeah.
We have some really smart people that are really successful. We have a lot of people that are just starting too, but that's the beauty of it, is hey, you don't have to go through all the pain of growing your business like we did, because we can tell you, you're having trouble, come in and tell us, talk about it, so we can help you get over it and not have to spend all that money and waste all that time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the benefit.
I will tell you, the one program I wish we had known about when we first started our business was Launch. Launch. I know, Dusta, you're very involved in the one in Clayton. We are helping out this year with the one in Fuquay Varina, but Launch is that program where as you are starting your business, you can come in and get a ton of free resources. You have the connection to the business coach. They're helping you with your business plan. They're helping you with some of your networking. They're connecting with some of the right people. You're learning from other business owners that have been successful. And side note to that, if you're talking to a business owner and they're talking about their business and they're only talking about the good things, or you're talking to a business coach and they're only talking about how they've been successful, run.
It is a red
No
flag.
one has always been successful. I also work a full-time job, and my current director, one of the things I always say about him is we are successful because he's allowed us to fail. He's allowed us to think outside the box. We've tried things. He's held us accountable because they haven't always worked. But from that, we've really been able to learn. But I so wish that we had known about those launch programs before, because they've been so helpful. And we've been lucky enough to see some members, come through and how they're able to get their businesses kind of up started and going.
It is important, and that's another thing that I'm going to highlight in the future is like what all the Clayton Chamber of Commerce offers for young entrepreneurs. Because if this was around whenever I started, I don't think I would have learned all those hard lessons as hard as I learned them, and I think I would have been more successful. But that's okay, because I feel like failure is the door to success.
So much.
Like
So
I needed
much.
to fail.
And I think too, we talk about competition. It's not really competition. Like, you are sometimes when you lose a job because someone's coming in cheaper. Okay. You do kind of get a little grumpy at that point, because that point they really are just price shopping. And you can also argue, is that your type of client if they're price shopping
Yeah.
and they're going to leave you for $50? But we have learned that we want to talk with other inspectors, because that when Charlie was saying, like, he went through that period of 3 months where he didn't work, like, we did kind of look at it. I mean, not that we are perfect, because we are definitely not, but you do start looking and questioning every email that you sent, every conversation you had, every text that you said. Have I ruined relationships? And it wasn't until we went to another home inspection meeting and we met with other inspectors, and they were like, no, we've been out of work for 4 months. We've been out of work for 6 months. And you're like, okay, unfortunately, this is just the way of the real estate market world right now. But I think from that also, like, I have lunch with an inspector's wife about once every month, 2 months. And I look forward to that time so much. We don't sit there and we don't always talk about business, but just knowing that if something ever came up in our business, I have that personal connection that I could reach out to help us out, to talk about a business problem, who understands exactly what we're going through because they are in the exact same field. I love that. I hate when I go to other networking events and there's other inspectors and they won't even make eye contact with me.
I agree. I actually talked about this on one of my last podcasts. She's Kayla Vargas owns a cleaning company, and so do I. And we were talking about how this isn't competition because competition's at the bottom. You want collaboration at the top, and not only that,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
don't talk to people and like find out, for example, when I came here, I didn't know what to price things. I was getting taken advantage of left and right. Had I not talked to my competition, and I'm quoting this in air quotes, I wouldn't know that like I was setting the bar so low. That's why I was so great,
So
and
much.
I don't want to do that. And not only that is when I set the bar low for someone else, I'm basically changing the market for that. And I don't want to do that because we all need to be making what we're worth.
So
Yes, I
much.
wish people understood that, because that's the same way in our business too. When these inspectors, they go out there and they charge $250, they don't realize what they're doing, and because they're usually, when guys charge that much or when companies charge that much, it's because they're taking advantage of the new guys coming out of school. Like, hey, you know, instead of trying to go make your own business, we'll go ahead and give you the business, and we're going to pay you know $100, and they keep the 150, and they get the business because they're charging so low. They just don't care. They're just churning them, and that's not what this business is about. This is about people's lives and the safety and the place that they spend the majority of their time. I mean, 2/3 of your life is spent in your house. You know, 8 hours a day sleeping and 8 hours a day doing whatever. You know, the other 8 hours is at work somewhere usually. So yeah, but I absolutely agree with the competition and collaboration. New people, beginners, they look at the competition. When you get up there, I had John Stroud is one of my good friends. He owns North North Star. I think his name is. He was with Win, and he ended their contract, and then he started his own business. That I talked to. As a matter of fact, I farm out on like all my auxiliary services that I can't do. I call him. I'm like, hey man, I need you to do septic. I need you to do this because I don't do them yet, and it's nice because he gives me a discount, and I give that discount to my clients. So there's no way they can go to him directly and pay the same price they're going to pay me for the same work. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, it gets him business. It gets, it makes me more marketable. Because when we first started, we were doing pest and radon, and that was it. Now we do pest radon, septic, water, mold, pool and spa, electric, plumbing, HVAC. We do all those.
See, that's another measure of success, how well connected you are too. So you know people to get the job done and you can offer it. That's perfect. That's the same thing with me. Like I don't do residential cleanings right now. We're doing strictly commercial, but I have someone that I can refer out and I don't look like, oh, well, she's just not doing it. End of story. Now I have to find someone. No, she connected me with someone. And that is
Yes.
so important in business and a measurement for success is like, how can
Yep.
you help people? Even if it doesn't.
Yes, and people remember when you help them. Like, oh, do you know a good cleaner? Yeah, Dustin, call her. She's great. I mean, if she can't help you, she'll help you.
Right. And
That's
if I
the
can't,
best.
we'll know somebody. Like
Right.
it's perfect. And my thing is I like to know cleaners that service different areas because I get phone calls from all over the triangle. So I want to be like, oh no, I can't, but so-and-so can do it because I know they work exclusively like in Apex. So I
Right.
think that's really
Yeah,
important too. To
I
make
don't like to go to Durham. I'm not a big fan of Durham. I don't like to go up there too much. I will. I won't hesitate to go up there, but it's just not my favorite. So if I have other inspections elsewhere, I can pass those off to, like, I've given John several inspections I didn't want to do.
exactly. And see, that's kind of the joy too, because if they have something that it's not in their area, like I don't go to Durham either. It's too far of a drive. Like I live all the way down here in the country.
Oh, I know.
It's going to take me
I
an hour
moved
to
to
get
Clayton when I first moved here. I lived at Sunflower or Flowers Plantation, where the big brick gas station is.
yes.
Yeah, I lived right across the street there, and we drive up to the ball games, the baseball games up in Durham, and then that's like a good hour, hour and 15 minutes from way down there, and you just don't realize it's like how much time you spend in your car traveling from that far away. Yeah, time in your car is time you could be somewhere else working.
Yeah.
Except for Delsta, who's got a driver because she's like fancy smancy.
Oh, of course. Yes. I have a driver so that when I am on the road, I am not paying attention to anything other than my social media. I'm connecting with clients. Like I literally think that everyone should have a driver, but I also understand that there is a cost involved with it. So, my biggest thing is hire for people to do the things that you don't have time for and you don't want to do, and you have the financial ability to.
Oh, that brings up another good part because I'm constantly learning how to build my business. I recently just got a mentor. His name is Mike Crowe, but he doesn't have an E on the end of his name. There's no relation. But he's a home inspector. He's done he's done well over 10,000 inspections during his career. He's helped thousands of home inspectors create $300,000 businesses just as a single inspector. And we make a good money, but I make nowhere near that. And I'm constantly busy all the time. So getting a mentor is a really good thing. They can teach you how to avoid those pitfalls. But one thing the first thing that came out of his mouth when I started doing his lessons is learn how to get out of your business, to work on your business instead of in your business. So I'm a home inspector. I'm a really good home inspector, I believe. And my goal now is my son Cameron has recently come on with this, and I've taught him. I mean, he's actually a little bit more thorough than I am. I hate to say that, but he's so scared of disappointing me that I'm like, what are you doing with this, man? He's like, oh, I don't know. I just thought I'd check. I'm like, you know what? Don't ever stop doing that. If something doesn't look right, take the picture, tell me what you see, and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss whether or not it makes the report or not. That's what makes him a great inspector. And then if I just find a few more people like him, then I can find myself a manager to manage it. And then I can start concentrating on how can I get more business coming into my business where these people are actually doing my business, And then so when we see the burnout, usually it's when somebody's burned out, it's because they're doing everything. Sometimes you have to do everything because there's no money, right?
That's true.
And the hardest thing to do is when you start making money is to start paying people to do those things. But you're like, oh, I need that money. No, you need to pay those people so you can concentrate on bringing in more money. But if you just keep that money and you don't hire those people, you're going to be stuck in that hamster wheel of being in your business the entire time. And for most people, that's a miserable place to be because they're stressed out. They don't, stress is really the big one. It's one of our nation's biggest killers. Stressed out. We're stressed out on money all the time.
That's true.
We never have enough. The price, we paid $5 for a piece of bread at a restaurant the other day. Oh, when does it stop?
Can you tell Charlie was really kind of salty about that $5 for a piece of bread?
I was like,
but tell me after.
Yeah, it was like, how many pieces did we get? And the guy's like, oh, it's like 4 pieces. No, it was one piece cut into 4 pieces. And I'm like, this is $5. And I'm old school. I came back, when I was growing up, it was 25 cents for a candy bar. Now it's $3. And where's all this money coming from? Oh, guess what I found out? They're just printing it, saying, we'll pay it back later. Well, I'm really sorry, but our dollar is going to fall one day. And when it does, we need to be prepared.
100%. Always have a backup plan because I don't currently, and I'm a little freaked out about that. I'm like, what do I do if I can't continue cleaning? Just say something happened. Like, what are we going to do? And I feel like that's a very important piece to being an entrepreneur too, is like having somebody there. Like my business partner happens to be my child. She is amazing business partner. She's been with me since she was 14 years old, and she is so great at knowing pricing. I suck at it. I'm great with customer service and sales. So we go in as a team, right? And so she'll go in and she listens to everything they want done, and then she knows how long it's going to take us, how much it's going to cost us, and she gives me the quote. I don't quote. I can't do that.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
No, and that's what I'm really glad that you're bringing your child into being able to be an entrepreneur and like work with you. That's very important. I feel like that it teaches them a lot more than say if they just went to work for McDonald's. I was explaining this to my daughter the other day, and I was like, if you worked at McDonald's, right, and you, I don't know, threw like a cup on the ground and you had to throw it away, all right, you're just going to do that like a normal person would. But a person who owns a business is going to go, well, there goes money. So, and how am I going to recoup this, and how do we prevent it in the future? And, you just think a little bit more critically in life, I think, personally.
Yeah. And we seem to be able to find those niches, those things like I said, we're always pivoting. You're seeing the need. How can you fulfill the need? You're always doing that. Even though I have my base company, I'm always looking for that. Like people say, hey, they get the report. Who can fix this stuff? I have HVAC companies. I have handyman. I have all those guys, and I have 2 or 3 of them. So if one's not available and they say, hey, they're not available, I got another one for you. Don't worry.
Right. Like being well connected is such an important thing, especially in service industries. I just feel that way.
Yeah. Because most people are coming from other states. Okay. They don't know anybody here. The only people they know is a realtor and the guy that's inspecting their house.
Right. They're like, I know 3 people. Can you help
Yeah,
me? And they have to really
yeah,
trust you too. And that's the other thing, to not take advantage of them because they're new here. And that's really
right.
important.
Yeah, yeah. And a couple things, like when we first started, we were referring out a crawl space company that basically just wanted to seal every single crawl space they came into, and it was $17,500. Yeah, on every single house, and I felt that the product was good. I wasn't really crazy about the price, but I knew their product was good because they showed me everything they did. They were doing something different. I absolutely agreed what they were doing. I thought it was a really good product, but their price was just sky high. Now I work with the guy, Will Wackaser. He's on my website, Crawl Space Guy, and I also work with Ryan. I can't
Brian
remember.
Lahaney,
Lahaney
and
with
Yeah,
Carolina
those are my
Casa.
two, yes, those are my two Crawl Space guys.
also,
Will has been working with
and then,
us.
babe, don't forget Justin Crawford with Green Homes Solutions.
Yes, Justin's more of a mold guy.
Yeah, but he does crawl
Which
spaces
is
too.
very important. I only know one other mold guy, so that is great that there's more than one now.
Yeah, and what I like about Will, because when you're in a real estate transaction, you have a due diligence period. It's a very short period. From what I understand, I think it's like 3 weeks. And sometimes they wait until that third week to call me, and then they're like, the home inspection is not the end of the due diligence period. It's the beginning. When I tell you there's something wrong, you need to call other people out so they can further evaluate it and give you a price for what it's going to cost to get it up to par. So when you get all that information, you have all the information you need to make a logical decision. But a lot of people just get the home inspection report and go, oh my God, this is so terrible. And I'm like, why is it so terrible? I'm sure if you call these people out, it's going to be small things. But so what we started doing was on these crawl spaces, whenever I have a house that's like more than 10 years old, I will automatically call Will out and say, hey, can you meet me at my inspection? I want you to look at this crawl space and give me a quote. He'll have the quote done before I get my report done. But the cool thing is
Wow.
yeah, because he only has a crawl space. So I have to do the whole house.
I think about that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing about it is when I turn my report over and then I give them the quote from the crawl space, he doesn't charge 15,000. Even, and if he did, it's because it's a full install. But he doesn't do that. He's like, this is the price, the minimum price to get this up to where you need to be, the minimum. This is where I recommend, and then this is all the bells and whistles you can get. Because some people have the money for all the bells and whistles. Most people just have money to get the minimum done. But that's what I really like about him. But the thing is I'm giving them that information, and the information is the tool. It's the power to negotiate whatever they need to do with that. They know that, hey, I've got crawl space issues, but it's only going to cost me $2,600. It's the power of the information. So we just get it. Yeah, we just get it out there up front, right for them from the beginning, and the realtors almost always love it. Some don't.
No, but
But
you're
the
very
customers,
transparent and you're helping your client.
oh, absolutely. And my client is the customer. It's not the real estate agent. We love real estate agents, and there are really, really good real estate agents that care about their clients. They care about their clients knowing what they need to know for their purchase. And then there's real estate agents who are like, hey, I don't need your disastrous report coming in and messing up my sale. So I need you to do, and I'm like this. But again, my point is I'm trying to make sure that my client is safe and that they have the information that they need to make an informed decision. And that's who I'm dedicated to with my clients. And I think the realtors that we work with appreciate that. I had a lady one time up in Durham. I did an inspection up in Durham. It was right next to an elementary school. And this house it was like 1930 or something. It was really run down, small. And the lady was like 80 years old. And she was buying that house. She did not care. She didn't care what. I mean, it had stones stacked up in the crawl space as the pillars. That's how old it was and how bad it was. The water heater was square, and it was in the kitchen, and it looked brand new. I'll be honest with you. Somebody took care of it, but it was still 60-something years old when I looked at it. And anyway, when I got done with the inspection, she starts writing me the check. Well, and the reason that she was buying the house because her grandchildren went to the school. And they would walk by her house every day. They could come straight to her house because it was right across the street. So she was buying the house regardless. And so I told her, I was like, you just keep your money because you're going to need it to do the repairs here. I'll get you the report in a couple of days because it was pretty bad. But We need more of that in the world. You know what I mean?
I agree. I agree 100%. That's like this. My podcast is my way of kind of giving back to and not gatekeeping information and, making sure that everyone gets to tell their story, because no one really listens to our stories most of the time. And who are we telling them to? I'm not telling to our clients most of the time, if we're being honest. We're telling them to other business owners. So this is a way to network and to get that out there. And because people always buy why you do something, not what you do. And I think that's really important when you're going into being an entrepreneur. It should never be about what you're giving to people. It should be about why you're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And then, it's always good to give back. Like when we started Tang, one of our biggest things was we didn't want to pay another $1,000 to join another networking group, because sometimes you don't get that money back,
That's true. Again, like Nichole was talking earlier, the ROI on it, making sure that, you're getting out as much as you're putting in. And that's one of my biggest networking things is don't be the guy who's trying to put your card in everyone's hand. Be the most interested person in the room.
I don't even carry business cards anymore. They're out in the car. I have to go out and get them if they want one. Yeah, I used to be the guy. When I first came into networking 20 years ago, remember, I've had that entrepreneurial spirit for a long time. We actually created a keychain. Remember when they had the store discount clubs and they gave you a little keychain and they would scan it and they gave you your discount? Well, we created a keychain that would hold those. And on one side, it had a little clip and it would hold the cards. And on the other side, it had this little, your advertisement, your picture. We could put all your information on it. And it was really cool. We sold them for like $3 a piece. And we got a $40,000 contract with a big manufacturer, la-di-da. And then somebody told me about networking. And first thing I did, I'd hand out my card. Oh, hey, how you doing? My name's Troy. Here's my card. Here's my card. And you know what we did? When we started the Tang Group, we actually had a group meeting. We did a group, we broke everybody up and we made them do skits. It was so awesome. It was so much fun that day. And the skits were how to act appropriately at a networking event. And one guy was like, hey, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. It's something that you just don't do, But nobody ever took me to the side and said, hey, that's not a really good idea. That's not how you network. So when we started the Tang Group, we said, hey, this is how you network. Or this is how we feel is the best way to network. Don't pull out your card until somebody asks you for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they want it.
Right? That's my rule too.
Yeah. And somebody wanting something and somebody just being handed something, that's two different things. You know what I mean? If I earn my Lamborghini and somebody gives it to me, I'm still going to like it, but I'm going to have more attachment to it since I earned it. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, business cards are also a business expense. So if you're going through them like water, one of the things I love about Charley and always cracks me up, we were at HSSBN, which is Holly Springs Small Business Networking Group, which, by the way, if you haven't checked them out, please do. They're a free group. They preach their whole slogan, Holly Springs Small Business Network, along with Fuquay Arena Small Business Network, is collaboration over competition.
Yes.
And we love that. But we were at one of the Holly Springs Small Business networking groups, and I can always tell when Charley is going to like politely pass someone my way. Because like he just said, he never has his business cards. So I saw him talking to this lady, which, if you know Charley, sometimes his favorite place to network is actually in a corner where he will usually have some type of chess game or solitaire game out. Because again, his goal is just to make that one connection per networking event. And it cracks me up because I will look up and this man who's purposely put himself into the corner will now have a group of people around him. Because people come over to him and be like, you look like you need someone to talk to. And Charley would be like, you know what? I don't, but my wife, see her over there. And he'll point her my way. He'll be like, my wife over there, she would love to meet you. And so people will come up and be like, your husband's so nice and sweet. And I'm like, as a female, if I said, hey, I don't want to talk to you, but that person over there will talk to you, I would be called a B word, right? Like that's... So it cracks me up. But we were at the Holly Springs Business Networking event, and I could tell that Charley was very much into the conversation, but he didn't have his cards, and he was trying to politely point the lady to my direction. But that's always our signal. So Charley may not come to an event with his business cards, but his wife typically does. And if he ever directs you towards me, it's so we can give you a business card.
No, and that's
I mean,
great.
I'm like your zucchini eat girl. I go over and grab her. I'm like, it's time to go. And we leave.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we'll be there for another hour because she's still talking.
Listen, I understand that, and Wendy understands that too. And sometimes I'll just go
Wendy,
across the
yes.
room, and she'll be like,
Yeah, we've used Wendy. I love Wendy. She did our stickers for our tape measures.
she's amazing. She has helped me literally make my business look good, like professional. Because when I started out, just like any other entrepreneur, I didn't have a whole lot of money, and I was like, "Cool, I'm just gonna make something on." I think it was Vistaprint, and
Yeah.
I like take it to her, and she looked at me, and she was like, "Everyone has this card," and I went, "Oh, that's not what we're trying to do here." So I went to her and I was like, well, here's the concept. Here's what I want. She was like, colors. She gave me so many options. And huge shout out. She has sponsored some of our podcast episodes. She's amazing. She made my checklist. She made me all together. And she even made the suggestion of making sure that my Facebook and Instagram were the same. So it was easy to find my business because I had them two different ways. So I was like,
Oh,
hey, girl, she really got me together. So
she's incredible. She's done our stickers for our tape measures. She's done our table runner when we needed like a tablecloth. She's incredible to work with. We highly recommend her. Highly,
Yeah.
highly.
Yes, we do.
for
Yeah.
sure. And she has her in-house printer now. She's had for a couple years. And so she makes stickers and she makes all kinds of interesting things. I've had her do actual personal projects for me too. So shout out to
I'm not too
Zucchini.
surprised.
Love her so much. I'm going to leave us on a last note. And my thing that I always like to do last is I want you to give the most impactful advice to somebody who's wanting to be an entrepreneur. Like, what is something you feel is great advice?
Can we go first?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to share with you the 3 rules of life that I learned from Marcus Rothkrantz because I'm a nutritional freak. And these are be good at something. Everybody is good at something. Number 2 is enjoy doing that thing that you like doing. You might be good at cleaning toilets, but it doesn't mean that you like doing it, right?
Exactly.
And then the 3rd thing is make sure that it helps somebody. If you do those 3 things, you'll be successful, and and money isn't necessarily the all-in measure of success either. Being happy, stress-free, having people around you that care about you and love you and are good friends when they're there for you. That's really, to me, that's success more than anything.
It's true.
I can't follow that. Are you kidding, Dusta? Like, come on. Like, I think that's really well said. I think usually when you are looking to be a small business owner, you have maybe been in the corporate world, you're burnt out, you're tired of reporting to someone else. So I think Charlie said it really, really well. You have to figure out what you're good at. And like he said, everyone's good at something. Once you figure out what you are good at, you then have to figure out if there's a market. And then you have to be brave enough to take that chance and to move forward. So I'm just going to add courage and bravery to what Charlie said.
It's true. Now tell everybody where they can find you, your socials, your website.
We are the home inspector.team, not .com because that was taken. So the home inspector.team. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. I'll tell you, we're not as active on Instagram. We're like the old fogey where like Instagram came through like after our prime. And so like learning a new technology is like beyond us at this point. But the home inspector team, and Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. That's where we are.
Yeah.
Love it. Right. And you'll be able to find those links when we publish the episode on Facebook and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I thank you guys for joining us. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thanks, Dustin. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you.